Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Tea with the Druid. My name is Philip Cargom, and Tea with the Druid is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. And I can see already there are 144 people who've come into the circle in our clearing in the forest from Bromley, Stirlingshire. I saw Tbilisi up there, and Hawke's Bay in New Zealand, and Belgium, and Germany, and New Connecticut, North Carolina, Belfast, Maryland, Ontario, County Tipperary, New Zealand. Fantastic. Another person in New Zealand. Fantastic. Yeah, Australia, all over the place. Fabulous. Georgia, Bristol. Yeah, fantastic. So, as we just get settled in the clearing, let's just take a while for everybody to gather, and let's use these few moments to just let all the worries of the day slough off of us. And we've got a treat in store for us today. We're all going to engage in a mass consciousness experiment. We're going to grapple with the science of consciousness with the aid of Dr. Peter Merry, who's an expert in this field. He's waiting in the wings, about to appear. But first, I'm just going to invite everybody just to tune in, just to imagine you're in this sacred circle together. Just tune in and drop down. And notice, first of all, when I suggest you kind of drop down to your center, maybe I shouldn't say drop down, drop in. Timothy Leary used to invite people to drop out, but the invitation here is to drop in and find out where are you going to? What part of your body are you going to? When you center yourself, there may be somewhere you go that you don't want to. You may stay in your head instead of dropping down into your tummy, or you may bop down to your feet. I don't know. I'd love to hear where you go. And then the next question is, how are you feeling just in this moment? Always bearing in mind that it can change at any moment. But let's see where people are going in their bodies. Heart, trickser. Fresh, bright blue sky day, refreshed. My mouth, that's an interesting place to go to. Wow. Yes. And the heart chakra. Dropping within to my gut/soul. Chest. Centering in the midriff. Honestly feeling a bit scared right now. Getting an MRI for my brain tomorrow, and I'm worried about the diagnosis. Oh, well, look, lots of good thoughts to you. Lots of good thoughts for that. It's always worrying when you've got health concerns. Heart, lower abdomen, lower belly, upper stomach, my third eye, solar plexus, feeling good, smiling. My feet. Sue has dropped to her feet. Solar plexus, stomach, tingling hands and fingers. Today, my throat. Opening my eyes, worried, soul, belly, chest, solar plexus, heart, midriff, and feeling motivated. I feel like I embody my whole body when I center myself like that. Before I focus, it feels like I'm only in my head, but then I drop into my whole body. Okay, that's great. I drop into the gut. Feels dense and heavy when I'm centered. Pensive, just above my stomach. Heart, in my heart, and worried about the future. Dropping from my head to the heart. Cold fingers. Well, you're in Aberdeen, that's why, Gordon. Recovering from a headache. Relaxed and cozy. Spine and hands. You're in Kyiv, Alina, aren't you? Welcome. Sending awareness to all those parts. Bottom of my spine, feeling like a piece of cloth worn to the threads, a tad fed up. Gosh, yes. Heart feeling like I'm an afterthought, irrelevant. Abdomen, really centered. Root chakra, lots of solar plexuses tonight. Solar plexus, stomach, relaxed. Sacred breast, feeling the Shakti and warming underneath my back. Lots of really interesting feelings here. It helps to articulate these because feels like we can come more into being fully present here and now. Now, now, all of us gathered here, I would suggest, are interested in consciousness. And I suspect that most of us, if not all, believe in what's called in philosophy the idealist position, that consciousness is primary and that within consciousness or from consciousness comes matter, as opposed to being materialists who believe that consciousness is just an epiphenomenon of the brain, a sort of byproduct of neural activity. And an expert in consciousness and a man who's been researching machines that can somehow tap into the field of consciousness is Peter Merry, who by magic has arrived here with us. Hello, Peter. Welcome to Be With It.
Hello.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, some people may know about your work, but a lot of people, I would suggest, probably don't. What on earth is it that you do?
Well, in this particular WYRD phase, really what we're doing is we're building on 28 years of research that was done at Princeton University at their Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, that was triggered initially by one of the aircraft makers noticing that pilots, when they get stressed in the cockpit, seem to be influencing the instruments on the dashboard of the fighter aircraft. And then coming to Princeton and going like, don't tell anybody about this, but, you know, could you find out what's going on? And that triggered these 28 years of research, you know, where they basically showed beyond statistical doubt that human intention in our inner state affects the world around us. They started with big mechanical devices back in the 1970s, and then ended up developing these digital devices based on random event generators or random number generators, which are really generating loads of ones and zeros very, very fast to get you a kind of a baseline of 50% of each. And according to mainstream science, because these numbers are generated using a quantum tunneling process, nothing in the physical world can influence them. And yet what they saw in the research at Princeton is that intention and attention, so head and heart combined in particular, did actually generate structure in this random data in way beyond, you know, what should be possible statistically, and found that when groups had a strong collective experience, that also put structure into the random field. So you could be you could imagine that what you're doing is increasing, if you have a collective shared intention in some way, you're increasing the probability of something manifesting by actually putting the pattern, as it were, into what should just be purely random phenomena. So they finished that work in 2007. And through a bunch of synchronicities, we ended up inheriting all of this equipment from Princeton and shipping it across the Atlantic and installing it in Yorkshire, of all places, in this beautiful place called Broughton Sanctuary, where we set up WYRD Experience, WYRD, as I'm sure normally I have to explain this to people, but I'm sure most people on this call are familiar with the WYRD, with our mission really to reawaken that meme in the collective consciousness, having been buried so deeply, you know, really it being the interconnected web that generates all life. You know, that was our Northwest European tradition, which we then kind of buried and imported all the stuff from the East. You know, thank goodness it was still there, Qi and the Tao and all of this, but we actually had our own tradition. And our sense is if we can reawaken that and it kind of resonates with the land that people are on, then it's more likely to stick in some way. So we called it WYRD Experience, and then we took the technology that had come out of Princeton and did a bit more development on it, hardware, software wise, created a research device called a WYRDoscope that you can put in a space and it'll track the field of consciousness in that space during an event. And you can see, like, particularly during rituals, at a particular peak in a ritual, you see a structure come into the data. So you'll see a peak in the graph, as it were. But that's for the, you know, the real researchers and scientists. And my passion is to get things out into the mainstream. So we literally just in November released the WYRD Lite, a number of different versions of it, but that basically is doing the same, taking the same data, but then turning it into the relative intensity of glow of the light that reflects the kind of coherence of the field of a group. and then has different structures in the data related to different color outputs. So it's a kind of reflection in a way of what's going on in the collective field at any one time.
Well, that's extraordinary. And so you've got one of those lights right next to you now, haven't you? This new, and are you saying that the changes in color that we can see on the lamp now, as you've been talking, it's been changing. What's that telling us?
Well, the intensity of brightness is telling us about the level of kind of felt connectedness in this kind of group as a whole. And the colors is curious because we don't actually know exactly what the different colors are reflecting. What we do know from a data perspective is that they reflect different structures in the random data. And we've got a number, obviously, there's a number of people who've got them out there now and are playing with them and sharing their stories. Oh, it goes blue when we do this, or red when we do this. But we haven't got enough research to actually tell us exactly what the colors mean, which is fascinating because it means we can invite everybody into like a kind of citizen scientist exploration of this whole domain of consciousness with a feedback device that can, like, now it's quite bright, so it obviously kind of quite likes that idea.
and it's changing quite a lot. How do we not know that it's not just random? Like the way you can get lights that change random colors, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Well, I mean, firstly, from the the research that was done before that goes into the technology, but really then through your own experimentation. I mean, some people have managed to sit in front of them and get them to change the color to the color that they want. We have no, again, scientific evidence for how that might happen. There are obviously all sorts of theories. A color has a resonance. This is picking up resonance in that way. But from the real research, we can't really explain properly how that works.
Is the one thing that I don't, I'm not good at science, and the one thing I don't get is how consciousness could change a random number generator. What what's going on there? Why a random number generator as opposed to, say, some other kind of thing? Why in that? What's
well, I think the main reason that in a way consciousness is able to get into that structure is because of the quantum tunneling process, which means that you literally can't predict what the next number is going to be. And it's the fact of not knowing, it's the uncertainty, that's what allows the consciousness in. In terms of the physics, it's you're holding open a waveform rather than collapsing to a particle. And if you can hold that not knowing open, then that's when the kind of consciousness can come in. Like we know, if we think we know everything, then we're not going to get any kind of nice consciousness downloads. The moment that we hold attention together in a kind of not knowing, curious space, then all sorts of magic happens, and we're kind of, where did that come from?
Yes,
it's literally that, I think.
Well, how interesting. I mean, when I met you recently up in Yorkshire, actually, we talked about how we could borrow one of your machines at one of our big ceremonies in Glastonbury. So I think in the summer we're going to try and organize that so that we can do a big ritual there and see how it works. But now what we're going to try and do is we're going to have our usual Tea with a Druid meditation. And whenever I do one of the reasons I keep going, this is the 7th year. We've just gone past our 7th anniversary. So Tea with the Druid has been going out for 7 years. And one of the reasons I keep doing it is because I sense a palpable sense of a field that is created, and from a sort of skeptical, cynical point of view, you can say, well, you're sitting in your house in East Sussex, and there are people in New Zealand and Georgia and Kiev and Ukraine and all over the place. There can't possibly be a field because everybody's too far apart. And yet it feels so real, and other people talk about it too. So, by the way, Heather is saying, what is being measured? Are you able to to get an
Well,
answer to that?
from a purely scientific approach, what's being measured is essentially deviation from randomness.
Right.
So if it was a materialist would say nothing can affect these devices, it should just be purely random data.
Yeah.
But what we found through the research, both at Princeton and our ongoing research, is that human intention and attention creates structure in the data way, way beyond statistical significance, and same as group experience does. So from a scientific perspective, it's that. Then there's all sorts of theories about what is actually going on.
Mm.
Is it? And I was going to say, when you say we're going to do this experiment together, what's really important is not to try to influence the light.
Yes.
Because it's when the harder that we try, the less effect we have, which is part of the mystery.
Right. Yes.
In fact, they call it the release of effort effect. The moment you stop trying, that's when things happen. Just about creating a field together of strong coherence, and then what it does is it responds to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. Yes. No. That of course tallies beautifully with sort of esoteric teaching about letting go and non-attachment and just dropping into being and so on. So let's do that now, and we'll only be able to see any difference in the light. I mean, the light keeps changing all the way through our conversation, and so it may be similar. But what we'll have to do, I think, is in order for this to work, is we'll have to. I'm certainly going to drop in as deeply as I can into meditation, and then I'll be able to see the changes in the light in when I watch the recording. I'm not going to cheat by opening my eyes because I might break, some of my concentration. So that's my invitation to everyone. But obviously, you do exactly what you want to do, and what we'll do now. Thank you, Peter. We'll talk a little bit after the meditation as well, and we'll give people a link so they can find out more. And Liz, I think it was Liz was talking about as well, idealism and materialism that I mentioned, and the third way, which is called panpsychism, where you don't place one you don't place them in a hierarchy. You see them as blended. So that's an important detail to mention. So let's now do what we do in Tea with the Druid, is to first of all become aware of sitting in front of our screens. We're looking at the screen, and I suggest just to double check that this is absolutely real, tap your furniture just to make sure you're not dreaming. Oh no, it's hard. I'm actually awake, and it seems to be physically real. But of course, we know that nothing is solid. There are great gaps that matter is made, not of solid balls of atoms all stuck together, but actually atoms actually are energy and space, and just with positrons and neutrons and quarks going on. So it's all energy and space. And so as we lower our gaze or close our eyes, we might start to become aware of how we're actually sitting in a field of energy, and becoming aware of the walls around us, the ceiling above us, and the floor beneath us, sensing that we're here in our rooms. At the same time, it seems really quite easy just to start to imagine that they're dissolving. These walls are dissolving, the ceiling, the floor, so that we find ourselves coming into this forest clearing if we're not already there. There's a small fire burning in the center, the smell of wood smoke, and a group of fellow beings sitting around in a circle. Find our spot and we sit down. The ground's dry. You might find a log or stone to sit on. You might sit on the earth. And just take in a slow, deep breath. Hold for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply. One more time. Hold, and then breathe out fully and deeply, just letting go to an awareness of being seated on the earth. You might be able to smell the earth and to sense the earth beneath you. All this life, teeming with life, All the mycelial network connecting everything up. There's just this wonderful sense of the earth, the moisture, the rocks, the soil. And a part of your consciousness drops down into the earth. And of course, a part of your energy field is already in the earth. When you sit on the earth, there's a whole bunch of part of your energy field that's in the earth already, and you can sense these. It's as if you have roots yourself. Connect in with a mycelial network, and you sense the roots of the trees now. It's almost as if you can see them stretching deep down into the earth. And you can sense the way they're drawing moisture and subtle energy up into their trunks. And your attention follows that, so you become aware now of the trunks emerging out of the roots, the trees around you in this sacred grove, in this clearing of the Druids. Each tree a being in its own right, a guardian of the forest and of our circle. We send our love and our thanks to these trees, their strength, their energy, their protection. And we breathe in the aroma of the trees, these essential oils that they exude, that have such a positive influence on our bodies. We breathe in the oxygen that they give out to us and their essential oils, breathing them in. And we become aware of the trunks rising up into the air and the branches and boughs, the leaves and needles of the trees above us, and the sky above us too. And we breathe in the energy of the sky now. We sense this vitality flowing into us from the sky. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of our beings. And we become aware now of being in the circle. And we open ourselves to that sense of community and connection that we often experience here. We sense this community of fellow human beings, of the earth and the trees and the sky, and of other beings too, perhaps, who have come into our circle, bringing light and love. And we allow our hands and our imagination just to drift up, and we take the hand to either side of us so that we now feel connected to the whole circle. And notice how you can feel completely unique, completely yourself, aware of your own energy field, and yet at the same time connected to the group, feeling the solidarity of the group, the connection with the group, the energy of the circle. And let's imagine now a golden light traveling around this circle, perhaps starting in our hearts, traveling down our left arm, and then going around the circle, traveling around this big circle of us, around, coming around the circle to meet our right hand. Let's do it again. Let's send another wave, delicious ripple of light, just effortless. It's not like we're forcing this. We're just gently allowing a ripple of golden light to travel around the circle. Then let's play with this and send a circle of silver light, lovely lunar silver light going down through our right hand now and send it anti-clockwise around the circle, a ripple of silver light rippling around. Coming back into your left hand. And then another time, just relaxing into it, not forcing it. It's just happening by itself. This beautiful circle, this wave of energy. And sensing the peace, the love, the connection in this circle. Tuning in now to the quality of energy in this field, in this circle. Just savoring it with your sensitivity to subtle energies, just savoring this energy. Again, not trying, just breathing into it, just feeling this quality of being. And you might get a color for this, this quality of being. The sort of color that comes to me is a lovely pink, sort of rose pink. And then a beautiful green color. And then a lovely sky blue color. And now may this peace and this quiet and this calm radiate out from our circle. May peace prevail on earth. May all of life be blessed. And may the earth be blessed. May the land be blessed. A blessing on our lives, a blessing on the land. Imagine gently squeezing the hand to either side of you and allow your hands just to drift to your heart. You might like to do that physically too, just sensing your hands above your heart or on your chest. May my life be blessed. May all lives be blessed. And as you do this, you feel the warmth from your hands transferring into your physical body. You feel your body starting to glow with energy and peace and calm. And retaining these feelings of peace and calm, gradually your awareness of the body begins to grow stronger as your awareness of the sacred grove begins to fade, until gradually you become present to being in front of your screen, the four walls around you, the floor beneath you, the ceiling above you. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. And so I resisted the temptation to open my eyes and peek at the machine. So we'll have to watch the recording and see what happens. But Peter, let me put in the URL of your organization, and I'll put it in the comments here. There we go. So everybody's getting that now. So you can find out more there. Kelly is saying that was beautiful. No joke. I thought, where was it? Sorry, I missed it there. I thought a wave of energy before you said it, and then saw rose pink before you said it. Oh, that's nice, Kelly. That's great. So Peter, you can tell us what happened, and yes, and do come over to Biscuits in the in by the hearth if you can. I'll just pick up a few more comments here. I love the gold and silver light. I could feel myself smiling with joy. There, that's lovely, Jennifer. That's great. So so yes, bless you. And I think for me, the value in the kind of work you're doing is, you know, I'm a sort of, you're singing to the choir with me. You know, I believe that consciousness can, you know, the field exists and that consciousness is powerful and so on. But of course, the value in it is convincing people. You know, I think if people can have some evidence at a physical level that it's something more than just, you know, thoughts in the mind and the imagination, then I think that there'll be a real value to that. So thank you so much, Peter.
You're very welcome.
Great.
Do you want me to say a little bit about what happened here, or do you want to wait? Till
yes. If you know, if you can tell me, yeah. If you can tell us, yes.
Very briefly, a couple of points. I mean, as you noticed before before you started the meditation, it was jumping around a lot.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you started doing the grounding, it basically stabilized into this. Well, first of all, when you started at the beginning, it did this big jump into a bright white, which is, you know, a high synchronicity. And you often get that at the start and the end of rituals. It's like a organizational opening and closure of a system, as we say. And then it settled into a very steady kind of purple as you were doing the grounding, and it just stayed there. So it wasn't flicking around different colors. It just kind of settled into that. And then when you moved to the trees and the essential oils, then you know, got a little leap up again.
All right.
And flicked green a bit. And then when we did the holding hands, it again kind of became very stable. And there was a little kind of, like, as you were saying, imagine it going around the circle. There was a kind of, it was the same color, but it was getting a brighter and less bright. You know, it was kind of doing pulsing almost as the energy was going around. But again, it stayed very stable during that exercise with everyone. Then when you went to the heart, it moved out of that. Of the purple and went into a green, this kind of green color for a bit. So you notice it's basically a shift in energy or shift in instruction or attention from a grounded to some kind of activity or action that seemed to be creating a change in the field. Yeah. So yeah, very interesting.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, I look forward to experimenting with these machines some more, and to having the other machine you have at our big ritual in Glastonbury in the summer. That'll be great.
Yeah,
great.
Very exciting.
Okay, so thank you everybody for coming, and have a really good week, and see you next week, and lots of love and many blessings. And thank you, Peter. Bye then.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the invitation. Lovely to be here.
Bye.